All right, Pikachu, I choose you!
Pika, Pika, Pee. Pee.
Shut up, Pikachu! Now, use Thunder Strike! Light Knight, attack!
Yeah, okay.
Not so fast! Nani?
Your lightning attack will do nothing against Exodia!
Dang it, dude, we're playing Pokemon cards, not Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't have time to read all those rules on the cards!
Get over it! Come on, dude! I told you I can't afford Pokemon cards!
Ugh, if only there was an alternative.
Fear not, keyboard warriors. I have the solution. What's up, dogs? It's Matt, and like most people in this world, I grew up with a slight obsession with monster trading cards. I'm talking about the basic ones like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, but also some of the more obscure ones like Chaotic. Any of my Chaotic fans out there? Huh? Anyone grew up with CW cartoons? Just me? Okay. I freaking love monster collecting IPs. They just scratch a certain part of my brain that I can't explain, and as a kid, that obsession only got worse. Sadly, even though I loved them so much, I didn't have money to buy cards. I was a broke kid, and I didn't get an allowance. Thanks, Mom! So, what is a kid to do? Well, I'll tell ya. But first, let me lay out the scene. And while I'm doing that, you should subscribe, because it really helps out the channel, and the videos are only going to get better, and it helps me know what you guys want to see. Anyway, it was a summer night in the year 2010, I believe, and my brother and I were staying with our great-grandmother. Now, staying at her house was the best because she had cable. Well, it wasn't cable? I don't know what she had, but she had 60 channels and Cartoon Network was one of them. Meaning I could feed my adolescent addiction of watching Ash on his journey to be the greatest trainer of all time. My brother and I could not get enough of it. We would even go in the backyard and pretend we were our favorite Pokemon and battle each other. Psst, Blaziken whoops Aggron, by the way. But watching Pokemon was not an easy task because it came on at 7 in the morning and it was the summertime, so you better believe that I'm not waking up at 7 a.m. So my brother and I had the bright idea to stay awake all night to catch the episode. I made it all the way to sunrise, but my brother couldn't hang. And as he was asleep on the living room floor, I watched the fierce battle between Ash and the Bug-type gym leader in Unova. That's when it hit me. I love these monsters, but I can't buy any of the cards because I'm a broke child. So why don't I just make my own? I mean, I always wanted to live in the worlds like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, Chaotic, etc. So why don't I create my own version of these worlds? It was a crazy idea, but every genius gets called crazy. I grabbed a small notepad my great-grandmother had and one of my Pokemon cards I had lying around. I traced it on the blank sheet of paper, and there it was, my blank canvas. I debated what I wanted to make and what to even name it. Pokemon has such a genius way of designing and naming new mons, and I wanted to try it. So I made the most late 90s, early 2000s monster ever in qlowdymusic. A kudu that looks more like a North American deer with abs, big biceps, and you can't forget about the pair of shorts. He's a silly little guy, but remember, I was 10 years old. I'm just happy he's original and not just a character I've seen on TV. I definitely still made those though. I was proud of it, and very excited that I started on my card creating journey, so I woke up my brother and showed him. He thought it was super cool, and because the notepad could fit 2 cards, I let him draw the other one. Now, my brother's monster was drawn well. It was another deer though. Real original, bro. But when it comes to naming things, he is very inspired by other forms of media. And at the time, he was a pretty big fan of this pop artist. You might have heard of her, Nicki Minaj. She's pretty underground, and around the 2010s, she had a song my brother could not stop listening to, birthing the monster, Super Bass. Yeah, I don't get how the name works. But I just made a deer with shorts who can shoot lightning out of his hooves, so I can't judge. All that mattered is that we created the first monsters in this world. For the next week we spent at my great-grandmother's, we created 100 new monsters, and that didn't stop after we went home. I think over the years we made close to 600 cards as kids, and I loved them all, some more than others. I can confidently say that most of them were original and super cool, but the rest were just blatant ripoffs of other things. We called these cards Mega Monsters, and I continued drawing them until I reached middle school, where I tried to put this nerdy hobby behind me. Ugh, that was so lame because it was a hobby that brought me a lot of joy, so why quit? I put drawing monsters away for close to 5 years. Looking back on all of them, embarrassed, like a 10-year-old should act more grown up by then, and should have quit this childish hobby and done something more mature like taxes. I don't know, I was stupid. Eventually, I told that voice to buzz off, and when I was 16, I looked back at all my cards, and the spark was instantly reignited. So I sat down at the kitchen table and decided to redraw them. Not all of them though. Some looked more like duplicates, so I threw some away even though I knew that would have crushed 10-year-old me. I just wanted to shrink the number of cards so they could be more than just animals with stripes and have unique designs. I did my best to update their designs and poses while also making sure they stayed the same monster. I didn't always succeed at this, and you'll hear more about this later in the video. I spent all summer drawing, waking up at 6 in the morning, turning on Yu-Gi-Oh! And drawing until 11 o'clock at night. That was a big task, and even though it absolutely destroyed my hand, I finished all of them by the end of summer vacation. And even though it sparked that love for drawing these monsters again, high school and eventually college got in the way, and I stopped drawing them. So they sat in an old sandwich bag in my closet for years. Until a global pandemic happened, and while I sat around the house, bored because I was in quarantine, I found them. I remember where I was when I drew each of them, and all the times I would draw some and go in the backyard of my great-grandmother's house so my brother and I could play out adventures in the Mega Monsters world. I was happy, but I felt melancholy? I wish I could go back, sitting on the floor drawing with my brother and play again. Sadly, I can't go back. But that doesn't mean I can't revisit those feelings again. Especially noticing how some of these could be drawn better. So I sat down, traced out a Pokemon card, and redrew them again. Now with more skill as an artist to put what I saw in my head as a kid on paper. And I've been drawing them ever since. So consider this the start of a new series of me showing you guys my redraws of Mega Monsters. I'm so sad because I threw a lot of my original cards away, so the ones I'm redrawing are the ones I had when I was 16. Darn me for trying to let go of the past. They were a great way I could see how far I've come along as an artist. But that's okay. Again, we can't turn back the clocks, so let's make the future as great as we can by getting into these new redraws. So to start us off, let's talk about these 2016 drawings. I tried really hard to make the drawings more dynamic and put them in cooler poses, but it didn't always work. I'm a self-taught artist, so dynamic poses scared me. But over the years, I grew to be much more comfortable with them. And when I looked at the cards to redraw, the pose was one of the first things I looked at. And that's why Baby Dragon was the first one I redrew. For all my Yu-Gi-Oh fans out there, you know who Baby Dragon is. So, as I was redrawing him, I wanted to give him a new design and change the name. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dragon Hatchling. One thing I want to try and do is also give personality to these new designs, and I have a much better idea of what Dragon Hatchling's personality is. Baby Dragon looked really dopey, especially with those eyes, and is just floating around. Dragon Hatchling, on the other hand, is a confident little dragon. He hasn't experienced real danger, so he's naively courageous, leading his small monster friends through the Mega Dimension, looking for a tough monster to fight. His wings haven't grown in fully yet, so he can't fly, and even though he acts super brave, he is still too scared to fully leave his egg. I hope you guys like him as much as I do, because I think he's a huge improvement from the drawing 10 years ago. But Dragon Hatchling can't go on an adventure alone. He needs a best friend to travel the Mega Dimension with. And that's who I'll be drawing next. To all my Johnny Test fans out there, I'm sure you know who Cuddle Buns is. I told you I was obsessed with monsters as a kid. It did not matter what franchise. And I redrew him in this art style at 16 because I genuinely didn't think I'd shared these drawings with anyone. Ever. So what's blatant stealing to a guy who isn't planning on sharing his art? Thankfully that changed, and even in my early 20s, I didn't think I'd share them with people, but I respect myself as an artist and didn't want to just redraw Johnny Test's Tinymon. I do, however, love the idea that Dragon Hatchling is cool and confident while his best friend is timid and scared of everything. So that gives us Crybaby Dragon. He's still a plushy little guy that doesn't even know he's a dragon. He doesn't have wings, horns, or sharp teeth, and his main source of defense is by crying so loud that it damages the eardrums of predators, causing them to flee. I know he seems pretty plain, but I wanted to keep him that way so his evolution is a super drastic one to show that you shouldn't judge him for how he looks now because he's just begun on his journey. Okay, we have some little guys starting their journey that are typically seen as prey in the Mega Dimension. So why don't we talk about some villains? Okay, they aren't really villains, more like bigger, meaner, scarier monsters that might want to make a snack out of these two little guys. And get ready because the first drawing is a doozy. Meet Ravage Rodent. Yeah, this is a design I genuinely hated because he looks like a goblin more than a rodent and is very ugly, but in all the wrong ways. He just looks like a bad design that isn't fleshed out well. I remember his original design made him look more rat-like, so I didn't know why I changed him so drastically. Let's bring him back to his original glory, and get ready because I'd love to introduce you to Savage Rodent, a giant rat that hangs around caves and other places where it can hide and ambush prey. He looks menacing and like he can do some real damage with those teeth. His fur is unkempt and really rough, and he uses his long tail like a whip to knock over prey before pouncing on them and gobbling them up. I'd hate to be walking down a dark alleyway and have this thing staring back at me. He's about the size of a Doberman, so yeah, let that sink in. He's definitely on the more evil side of this world, but if we're talking about waves of enemies, Savage Rodent is probably on the lower tier. But a beast that would strike fear and even grown monsters would probably be Pterodactyl. I'm ending this video off with one of my all-time favorite monsters from when I was a kid. And I don't know if you can tell, but his original drawing is on this card. I just drew the new one on top to save paper. That's what I did for most of these drawings from 2016, which is another huge reason why I wanted to redraw them all. Like I said, Pterodactyl was one of my favorites because I could see myself on its back flying through the clouds and maybe chasing the school bullies like in the Neverending Story. I mean, come on, you see a giant bear flying towards you, you're gonna be crapping yourself too. So, when I was thinking about this redraw, I didn't want to remake him with a new design, more like an updated pose. Maybe his wings spread out to show how big he is. Okay, everyone, I hope you enjoy the new and improved Pterodactyl. Again, his design changed the least in this video, but I liked how it already looked. I just wanted to make him look more menacing and update his pose. I'm happy with him, and that's all that matters to me. Check him out. 4 redraws that I just absolutely adore, and I hope you guys like as well. I want to keep making videos like these because it gives me a great excuse to draw and revisit that childlike wonder I still feel in my soul. I love mega monsters, and there's a lot I need to redraw. I mean, a lot. I told you I have a lot of monsters I need to redraw. There's a lot of them. Oh boy. Oh gee willikers. Oh, look at that. Oh hey, who's that guy? Oh man, oh man. Yep, still not done. Yeah, I didn't touch a lot of grass as a kid. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been wanting to make this video for ages, so if you made it this far, tell me if you also grew up drawing your own monsters in the comments below. I'd love to talk with you all and nerd out over our shared love for monsters. I feel like I've kept my drawings to myself for too long, so be prepared for more videos like these coming your way. Like I said, I have a ton of monsters to draw, and I don't see myself stopping ever. So if you guys enjoyed watching the video at least half as much as I enjoyed making it, be sure to like and subscribe because it really helps out the channel. I want to hit 1,000 subscribers so badly by the end of the year, and I really need your help for that. I have big plans for the channel, so if you like film reviews, short films, talking about cartoons and anime, or even my beautiful drawings, you're gonna want to subscribe. Because us nerds have to support each other. Well, that's all from me. I'd love to stay and chat, but I think I'm gonna eat some cheese sticks. Catch you later, dogs.